welcome everyone. Hold on, let me move Kendel back to where she should be. There we go. Welcome everyone. It is Wednesday, June 24th. We just had our primaries. We are honored to have America's favorite First Lady, our First Lady from Maryland, Kendel Ehrlich. She has a new title now.
That's right. I'm an executive director of the American Journalism Institute for the Daily Caller News Foundation. Say that real fast.
Yeah, and that just on top of her other titles, being mom, First Lady, podcaster.
I can't. Yeah, but I enjoy being busy, as you know, Dwight, and things are good. The boys are all three boys are in good shape, so everybody's doing fine. They have to cook their own dinner every once in a while, but that's good for them. Builds character. Definitely.
You know, we've made fun of Bob over the years for having kind of a very predictable beginning to his public remarks. And invariably, it includes referencing the boys, but it also says, Kendel says hi. So what we're going to do, Kendel says hi, and then he goes into the rap, and then, it's really kind of a nice touchstone. So what we're waiting from you is to say, Bob says hi.
Bob says hi to you and the audience. All the people that have been so good to him all these years, that's for sure.
Well, I mean, speaking of people who've been good, I think other than the people who ran statewide this primary, the people who've been the busiest this primary cycle have been you and Bob. I think you were in every corner of this state during primary season for so many different people.
Well, Jackie, you're always out and about. All three of you are out and about. So we were just doing our part like you guys do to try to save the party as best we can, to go into the areas of the state where we can win. And we know that it's an uphill battle in this state. There's no question about it, but there are places that we can win. And the three of us and my husband and some others know exactly where those places are. And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to win there.
Yeah. I mean, was there anything that surprised you coming out of last night? And obviously there were some races on both sides that are still too close to call and haven't been called yet. But anything you saw that shocked you?
Not particularly. I think Harford County showed up well and as expected. So we definitely sort of expected Bob Castley to come out strong. Yep. We had a good candidate against the incoming sheriff, but the sheriff is strong. It's Gaylor. Thank you. I was going to say Gansler. That's the old attorney general. It was a slip of the tongue, but at any rate, so Gaylor won, and so Harford County remains strongly Republican. So that's great. I'm sure our folks in Carroll County did well as well. And we're just going to concentrate hard for the general election to make sure that we maintain our areas that we can be strong.
Yeah. I saw a graphic that came out like right before we came on here about how low the turnout was. It was something like over 170,000 less Republicans this year compared to 2022 and like 250,000 less Democrats.
Oh my gosh. I don't know if you saw snippets of the news, but it seemed like there was nobody in the polls. I did early voting. I always do early voting. Bob is old school. He goes on election day
in the rain.
And so it is pretty shocking, but it is standard that non-presidential years are typically very low turnout. I wish that wasn't the case. I think it's funny that we have so many Europeans that are praising this country right now, and it really swings on the ability for us to vote and the absolute privilege that we have to vote. And we really should take that as it is and vote in a primary. Every time you're able to vote, you should do it.
But it is interesting, although, I mean, you're right. It appears the polls were, the turnout were figure down from 4 years ago, although 4 years ago you had, you were choosing a new governor regardless. So you had no incumbents running. So you had contested Democratic primary and a contested Republican primary. So, but it is generally true that only across the board about a quarter of the electorate votes in primary. It kind of goes up and down. Presidential years are different, contested years like 2022, but then there are other years that are down. It's an interesting phenomena that a minority of the electorate participates in primaries when, for many elections, that's the real election that decides who's going to get elected.
And I guess that's the case in strongly Republican states too. I just wish it weren't that way, particularly in this year. I think the particular incompetence of this governor and his problems with the truth throughout about his own biography and other things as well, about the budget, about other major issues, not the least of which is transportation. As you guys know, I live in Annapolis. It's the summertime and everybody's headed to the beach, and I cannot tell you what the traffic is like here. Maybe I shouldn't complain to you all in Montgomery County, but I will tell you that the fact that we don't have a bridge actually matters, and that affects quality of life. And it is just a shame that we have no leadership, no real leadership as in the governor of this state.
Well, we also have a pronounced policy bias that is against highways, that wants to spend all the available funds on public transit, even when public transit only.
Mark, how long have they been saying that? And how terrible? I mean, how much does that not work?
Yeah.
Well, I'm curious to see if this lower turnout plays into November as well. And I have a prediction that it will. One, because Westmore's popularity is continuing to decline amongst his own party, mostly because the fact that people are just like, he's clearly just focused on running for president and not doing anything to help Maryland. So even Democrats are fed up with him. I think they take the congressional races for granted. So, and they don't have like what they had in 2022. They had the what they're calling an abortion rights bill, but really was about trans surgeries for minors. They don't have that on the ballot to drive people out, the Democrats. So I think we could actually see some really low turnout amongst the Democrats this year in November as well.
But I just wish, Jackie, that would translate to the fact that we could, have some upsets.
Yeah.
Well, I think I mean, you know me, I'm like the half glass full girl, but
yes,
I think we could lead to some upsets, particularly further down the ballot. Most general election people are focused on those federal races and the statewide races, and that's where most people don't even know who their state legislator is, but I think that's where we have that opportunity to slip in and really make some difference.
Yeah, and I think our friend Jim Rutledge may surprise people. People don't look at those. I mean, Anthony Brown has been nothing more than a mouthpiece for the DNC by suing the president. That's his basically his priorities, not the crime at the town center or crime in general in Maryland.
Yeah, but Toy, you know how that plays here in Maryland. I mean, people support him wasting his time doing that stuff.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, this party continues to go left. I mean, last night, from our perspective, it's shocking to think that we would have this many socialist candidates in one of the major parties in our country. At the 250th anniversary, we would have socialists being elected, or at least
Bowman went down. Yeah, right. Dan Bowman went down.
It's just, and these are people that want no jails. There's no such thing as a criminal for them, and I feel for the victims that are out there. And I wonder if their own family were victims, if that would be a problem.
And it's funny because these are people who tend to claim the victim mentality for pretty much everything. One of them, I think for me is the most horrific, said she wiped her hands on the American flag. If you hate this country so much, why are you here? Why are you running for office? Even the Democrats put out a statement saying, the DNC did, saying, if you hate our party so much, please don't run for it. Please don't take our resources and take our volunteer hours and things like that. Because that's what they want. They really just want to burn the whole thing down. They despise the Democrat Party as much as they despise us.
Yeah,
to burn it down. what's been so bad for them living in this country?
Right.
Whenever they have the clips of, I can't believe I'm saying this because we shouldn't even talk about them, but The View, because I think to myself, really, ladies, in what other country would you have a television show where allegedly people listen to you?
I mean, I'll give Rosie O'Donnell credit. At least she actually kept her word and left.
Right, but apparently she's back with a whole new face. But yeah.
But,
At any rate, I just don't understand it.
The 3 DSA folks that got elected in New York City, none of them are from New York.
Yep.
They're all pretty much carpetbaggers.
I'm sorry, Dwight. Everybody in New York City. I lived in New York City for 20 years. Everybody in New York City is a carpetbagger.
Hey, my old bosses, my 2 old bosses, were not
DC who actually grew up in DC.
Well, DC, I mean, these are commuter towns, right? DC. That's why we have part of the traffic issue is that we're a town that commutes.
Right. Yep. My hope is that these socialist candidates, I mean, that plays in New York City. That does not play in most of the country. And I'm curious, especially about like Al Sayed in Michigan. You know, you have, I think if someone from the RNC or the NRCC sent flowers to Hakeem Jeffries with condolences for the death of the Democrat Party, essentially.
You know, President Trump should have done that.
That is the kind of thing he would do.
Well, it saddens me about New York. I'm not someone that could ever envision living in New York. I'm not. But I think it's an amazing city, and it signifies a lot about capitalism in our country. And I think that if Wall Street is smart, they're going to say, you know what? We're going to pick up and we're going to Florida.
Yep.
Yeah.
It actually,
all those financial jobs, and we're going to take from being the financial center of the country, and we're going to take it to a state that is open to business, that supports lower tax rates, that supports capitalism in general.
It actually is already happening fairly quickly. Is that companies like Goldman Sachs, financial services jobs are now more in Texas than they are in New York, and a number of specific companies like Goldman Sachs have told managers, take your pick. Is it going to be Dallas or Salt Lake City? Because your job's moving out of New York. And the interesting challenge of that is New York, like California, has really benefited from the taxes of that 1% that they hate so much.
That's right.
I don't know the figure in New York, but it's like that 1% represents, like in California, about 50% of the tax revenues. So that movement that you're describing to Florida, to Texas, to wherever, is really going to come back to bite them.
And what does that leave New York with? Very little tax base, or a much lower tax base.
Right.
And the public schools are already abysmal.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're going to send your kids to school, it has to be at a high cost to a very expensive private school. And it just brings the question of who's really going to be left there. Is it going to be like Baltimore, where only the people who can't afford to leave are stuck there?
I think
and
that's
tourism's not going to pay for their socialist ideas too.
No, and I think that's what we're going to end up seeing is it's not until they see firsthand, because it's unfortunately a lot of people in my generation who think that socialism is this utopia. It's not until they see how bad it's going to get that they're going to wish they had things back where they were before.
It's just amazing to me that people don't appreciate what the founding fathers thought of and came up with, and just how amazing this country is. And they really, if they really listen to, I think it's just been fantastic what's happened with, the Scots and all the foreigners that are coming here. And they said that they've heard so many bad things about America, and it couldn't have been further from the truth. It's so wonderful to hear from them.
So let me shift
most of those people for any of these DSA people any day.
What was that?
I think we should do a trade. We'll keep them, and the DSA people can go to Europe.
So let's shift gears because, Kendel, you've got a new gig, and we want to hear a lot about it, which is with the Daily Caller. And tell us what you're up to.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that, Mark. The Daily Caller, many of you are familiar with, is a right-of-center, America First media outlet battling the bad guys and battling that mainstream media that we hear so much about and that we fight. We are fact driven and we follow stories that other outlets don't follow. And it's really somewhat uplifting for me to be sort of in the battle in this way, because what I am doing, I'm the executive director of the American Journalism Institute there. And that is a fellowship program for young college graduates who want to come to DC and learn how to be really great journalists in the old fashioned sense of following facts and really digging into a story, getting good sources. And it has been a lot of fun for me to try to find these young people. Not so easy because of professors and other influences in young people's lives, but particularly religious oriented schools tend to be a little more conservative, and we've been a little successful getting folks in from there. But basically, I'm a recruiter, and we have a 2-year fellowship program that is paid with benefits. And we have a great team of editors that work directly with these kids to learn how to pitch stories, to learn how to write properly, because writing properly is a real issue, by the way. I'm talking to people that know how to write because we learned how to write in school. And I guess, Jackie, you were on the computer more than the other three of us.
I was at the end of it. I was in one of the last few kind of grades where they taught cursive.
Ah, yeah, that's an indicator, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Jackie, but that really dates you.
I know. Listen, I'm like
That's
hovering on 30. It's like, ugh.
Oh my gosh.
You're turning 30 when you just turned 21.
It's I'll tell you, the time flies. That is for sure. It seems like just yesterday I had Drew and Josh. They're 26 and 22. So anyway, it's really it's a great program. It's in the hottest town in the world to be a journalist. I mean, we've got a president who speaks directly to the media every day. It's unprecedented, right? And it's entertaining, that's for sure, I think. But for the young folks that want to cover this city, it's really great. And then upon graduating, of course, we like people to stay on and be reporters for us. But everybody in town can use a great writer. Everybody, the policy people, the organizations, the members, you name it. The town is a writing town. So if anybody out there is listening and has an interest in journalism, this is really the way to do it. It's like a graduate program where you're fully immersed in what you're learning. It's really great.
Is the focus predominantly on written journalism? Because with the rise of things like TikTok and X and a lot of people getting their journalism from social media, is there more of an emphasis on that?
It's a great question. And it takes someone like your age as part of that, leading the young Republicans to recognize that, because it's so true. No, we have a whole video area, and really so much of what we do is ends up on a form of media, because along with the written story is some visual, because that's what your generation loves. Yep. They grew up with the visual. They want the visual. They want someone talking on a device, not in person.
Well, and there's this idea of like, you know, a tweet being 240 characters or 140 characters. It's longer now, but like you need to essentially be able to get your entire story across in 140 characters or less, or most people just kind of scroll past. They take the headline and they move on.
Well, you know, Jackie, that is the bottom line to all of it. You want to do this podcast only for a certain period of time. Bob and I only do a certain period of time, because the attention span of the American public, it's measurable, and it's not very long. So people are getting accustomed to getting their message out as quickly as they can. And I love this medium. I know you guys do, because it's fun to work with your friends and talk about issues. And of course, I do it with Bob, Bottom Line with Bob and Kendel Ehrlich. And we've been doing that sort of from radio, where we had callers in, to now the podcast format for quite some time. And we too like to get our thoughts and our messages out. And so it's just continues to be the way to fight. And here in Maryland, we have to utilize those types of things in order to do that. And you guys, I have to say, the Montgomery County GOP, the writing that is done through your newsletter and through is fantastic. And it's very uplifting to see that, because you can tell that that is real writing. The other thing is, I will tell you that AI has its place, but not in our newsroom at the Daily Caller News Foundation. It is real writing, and it's an old-fashioned type of newsroom. There's not a lot of lights and cameras and all that. It's basically your laptop, and you're out there contacting sources and writing stories and hitting up whatever is the news of the day. So anyway,
I was going to observe.
It's a little outside my general box, but it is in DC. And let me just make a plug for DC. I am a believer that the president loves this country, no matter what you think about him. He loves this country, and he has made DC look fantastic. Absolutely. It is. I was there in the COVID days at the ending of his first term,
right,
and had to go in through Union Station in really dark times. Now that we look back, right? It was dark. It was a very dark time. And the Union Station was just horrific. It was a little scary to go through, all the homeless, very unpredictable, not guarded. And all the fountains are bubbling. It's just fantastic what he has done.
I mean, look at the fountain by Union Station, because that's what I do when I go to NASA. I get out there. I can't believe how clean that place was. I've been.
I go through there when I go in, which is a couple times a week, and I just I marvel at how the town looks. It makes me feel proud. Yeah. Have a lot of pride. This is our nation's capital. This is the way it should be. And I'll bet the president is heartbroken about New York, because I think he always felt that about New York, and he has to sit and watch this deterioration when it doesn't have to be. I don't know who it was that said, it's easy to do this if you make it a priority, basically, paraphrasing it.
Well, I think that's why he's taking so seriously also the outcome of the mayoral election in DC, and that it was the more socialist candidate who won that race. And he's very seriously, and I'm sure he's going to pursue it, considering federalizing DC again, because he worked so hard, like you said, to make DC a beautiful, safe city again, and I don't think he's going to let it go back.
Yeah, I have no idea.
And from my perspective, nor should he. I mean, this is our nation's capital. This is a showcase. And that's how it should be presented. And I know that he feels very strongly about things like that. He's a builder. He loves to make things look pretty. And he's been it's all worked right now in DC. I can tell you that.
So let me go back to the Daily Caller and talk a little bit about the relationship with Daily Caller, because I would think that a real attraction for folks coming to Washington to participate in the program is really the outlet that the Daily Caller has. It's a really impressive, important platform that has really developed a strong audience.
Yeah, well, it was founded on the idea of sort of being an alternative to the mainstream beating the drum of the same message over and over and over again. And it is really to try to cover the stories that aren't covered, and to cover what's happening in town, whether obviously the war, with all different viewpoints, by the way, and also it is Maha and what's happening there. The idea of the swamp, they're covering, the fraud and abuse. And so we're really on top of all the hot issues. The other great thing about this is that we're on H Street, literally around the corner from the White House. And we're able to get great speakers. As part of the curriculum is really to have lots of speakers in that are true experts, all the tax organizations, all the energy organizations, the healthcare organizations. They actually come into what we call the newsroom, which is a big conference room, and talk to our fellows. And the other great thing is, Jackie, we do have huge impressions on the video stuff. And the fellowship program is on the nonprofit side, and our for-profit side actually, gets millions of hits. And so we know that we're making an impact and that we are getting the information out that we want to do. And isn't that what all of us try to do? Whether it's been us in a campaign or all of you campaigning in Montgomery County or wherever you are, it's all about trying to get the message out. Because sometimes we have really great candidates, like the Republican AG candidate, and they just don't have the money to get their message out. So they have to try to rely on people like us to get out there and do it.
There was a great potential ladder for somebody coming into the news business. Obviously, I think, as I recall, it was Tucker Carlson who started the Daily Caller.
Tucker hasn't been involved in a long time, but Neil Patel, I think they were college classmates and came to town, and their purpose was to find a conservative journalist because they said they couldn't find any. And I have to tell you, it's still not easy.
Sure. It's a great ladder into the business for somebody. I mean, obviously we know what happened to Tucker over time, but it's a great way to get started in the business and to move on.
And our folks go to all the outlets that are out there. We have people covering the White House as graduates. They go on and cover the White House. Sometimes they end up at CNN, which is a shame. But other than that, they go all over town. And so it is definitely a great stepping stone. And also people know the reputation of the writing. So if you have that on your resume,
right,
you know that you're able to write and that you've been taught the right way to be a journalist.
Very true. Very true. And hey, even conservative outlets, you think a reporter is conservative? Like Major Garrett used to work at NET for Paul Weyrich.
I know.
And there's nobody more conservative than Paul Weyrich in Washington back in those days. And the fact that he hoodwinked Paul, and now he's at CBS. I mean, he went to CNN after NET and then Fox, and now he's at CBS. What a leftist.
But we see it. You can see it. I don't see it because I don't watch other channels. I just watch channels I want to watch. But you can see the bias and you see the gaslighting. I think that the best example is President Biden and how the story of his deterioration was never covered, never out there. And we could see it with our very own eyes, what was happening. So I think that really puts middle America and the average guy in a very distasteful form about the media. And I'm sure that when you do the polling about the media, we might even be lower than Congress, generally speaking, because there's just not a lot of trust. The Fauci, right? I mean, now in hindsight, look at what is coming out. And we were nervous as we were going through it. Like, why are we doing this? Why aren't we getting good explanations? The best at it was the kids that had to stay home. They kept asking basic questions and either getting lies to those questions or no answers whatsoever, right? And now look at what we're hearing. What we suspected. We suspected that we didn't have to go through all of that, and we didn't. So it's shameful, but those stories really need to come out when they're happening, not just in hindsight.
Yeah, and also, you guys are doing great work. I mean, the fact finding a conservative journalist in DC is still pretty hard. Although now you do have more.
It definitely is. I hope. We got to get, Jackie, some young Republicans to want to get involved, not just in campaigns, but sometimes in writing and being persuasive, even if it's in journals for particular policy journals.
Yeah.
That's another area that we need op-eds and people to be willing to write for that. There are a lot of kids that really love to do that. I mean, the kids that we have, I'm calling them kids, many young adults that are in our office love what they do and love. Pardon me?
They just need an outlet to do it.
Yes.
Yep.
They need an outlet to do it. But a lot of kids that I do interview are active or try to be active on their campus as best they can without being punished for it. So I encourage at least to keep trying that or to put out op-eds, if not on their own campus paper, maybe in other campus or again, policy places where they can write and try to be persuasive, even outside of their college.
That's true. Yeah. And,
It's interesting. You talked about the ladder, that is career ladder that's being created. Going back to my own history, I heard today from a longtime friend of mine who I used to connect with, who was Policy Journal, a Republican Policy Journal in the 80s. He was our editor. I was president of the association. He went on to get his Pulitzer Prize for the Dallas Morning News, and then subsequently was editorial director at the George W. Bush Library, the center there. But
that's a great career.
But that's an example. I mean, I was thinking and I happened to hear from him today because he commented on one of the op-eds that we did for Direct Line News. And I was kind of struck by what you're doing is really creating a ladder that really didn't exist when we were starting. That is an opportunity, because it was pretty tough. The model back then was, if you wanted to work for the Washington Post, you had to work in the hinterlands and work your way up. Whereas there are now outlets like the Daily Caller that provide that ladder that never existed before. So it's really a great time now to begin a career like we just described.
Yeah, and there are also other outlets that are online now too.
Absolutely, yes.
That are conservative. I'm thinking of the Epic Times and a couple others that are out there that also are getting more conservative news because there's a real need. That's why. Mm-hmm. That's why it's developing. There's a real need.
Although
brave souls like Scott Jennings who go on CNN every day and be a conservative voice.
Although it's interesting, I'll make a plug too that there's a lot to be said for being able to develop the skills as a straight journalist, and it's an interesting challenge to see. So because we've become so polarized, the New York Times is way to the left, the Washington Post is way. I mean, that things are polarized. There really is something to be said for developing the skills of being able to do a straight news story that follows the basics of what a journalist is supposed to do. So if you've got comment, you get comment from the other side, and you create the balance, and you get both. And it's fascinating how little that skill set is developed these days.
And Mark, it is, the old who, what, when, why, and where, right?
Right.
I mean, that's what we learned how to write a story when we were in school, even if it wasn't based as, a journalism class. It was, how do you write a story? And those basics. It's just very different in the digital age.
Well, you're seeing it a little bit with the rise of independent journalists, people like Nick Shirley, who didn't do what he did to be partisan. He went directly to the source of these child care centers, and I say that in quotes, yep. and gave them a chance to say, hey, I'm investigating this, just wanted to ask you some questions. And that's what we're seeing a lot more of is other Nick Shirleys coming out and doing something similar.
Sort of that video investigative reporting, where people are recognizing a need to get that information out. Speaking of which, I am going to do a little bit of a shameless plug that I'll come back to at some point to talk to you about. I am going to be publishing a book, which is a healthcare guide from my own journey and and how I felt, and how traditional medicine did not help me, and what I did to get online and to learn about more about toxins and why I felt so bad, and without taking medication, and what many of us can do to make ourselves feel better. And my audience, my friends, are particularly older Republican women. They're craving this information, and I know that because I speak to them, and I have spoken to a couple groups that had this project in mind. So it is coming to fruition shortly. And I think it is, again, an avenue to get information out. I did use AI to help me in this, although I've used an editing company and they have edited it. But AI gave me the confidence to put the framework together. So that's a positive use of AI. Dwight's going to help me with my future AI work.
Yes.
But I just wanted to let you know that it is kind of interesting. There are businesses growing that can help us even to get information out even more. And this is one of them. And we'll see what happens with it. I'm doing it to get the information out. We'll see if folks enjoy it and like it, and take the information and hopefully start to feel a little better, because I just meet too many women my age that are not feeling well, but they don't know what to do about it. And they think it's just because they're aging, and it's not. So that's my other little project that I've been doing. So thanks for letting me plug that. It'll be coming out soon.
Well, we are on the plugs part of the show,
Yeah.
so let's see.
Yes, we are.
All right, Mark, what else do the club and the state party have going on?
Yeah,
Well, we have. I think we have a seat or two left at the red, white, and blue
We
dinner.
have 4
Lots of
left for
seats,
our red, white,
but
and
I'm
blue dinner.
specifically thinking about our club table. And God knows we would be glad to buy another table, wouldn't we, if we had 10 more people sign up, right,
Yes.
Dwight?
Mhm.
And that's coming up next Tuesday, if I'm not mistaken.
And
What's the date?
The 30th.
Oh,
30th.
okay.
Yes,
And
Governor
then-
Landry is the speaker.
Right?
I'm sorry.
Governor Landry is the speaker.
Okay.
And we have one rock star table. Kendel, if you and Bob would like to come, we'll put you there.
You know, we shouldn't give me such short notice on this.
I know.
I'm a working woman
Food
now.
out of the table for you guys.
We have Ellen Sauerbrey
Oh,
Ellen is coming as well. And
I'm so glad. How is Ellen doing?
She's doing well. We'll see her Saturday.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
And the other shameless plug is we're doing America 250 at our next Pizza and Politics on July 2nd. We've got people telling their American dream stories. And
Well, isn't that nice? That sounds super uplifting too.
Yeah.
I think we're in an uplifting time despite socialists on the other side getting elected. Hopefully they'll be defeated in November. But I feel an upside.
I was 4 years old in 1976, but I do remember the excitement of the bicentennial, watching the tall ships come into the harbor and stuff like that. That was just great stuff. Hippies and dippies, liberals, and the peaceniks and the conservatives, they were all united as Americans. I hate to say it. I don't think we're going to see it this time. We're not going to see it this time because you have what's her name, Joy Reid, telling, "Hey, we shouldn't be celebrating the 4th of July because America's such a horrible place."
It's awful.
So, Jackie,
I think people have had enough of that kind of talk and that kind of person. Yeah. And again, isn't Joy Reid a graduate of Harvard?
Mm-hmm.
And so, really, Joy, how bad has America been for you? I mean, it's just absurd.
Oh, yeah.
Enough. And we're in 2026. We have history, and some of it's not good, but it's history in the past history. So I don't know. I agree with you, though, Dwight. It's a little different right now because people could disagree back then at 1776 celebration. but they still had love of country.
Mm-hmm.
And this whole concept of not loving your country. I mean, really, if you don't love your country, it's true. You should just leave. You're not productive here. And you should understand more about our history and how amazing it is. And maybe go to some sites. Maybe go to Gettysburg, see the blood that was shed.
Where the best place in Maryland is going to be to celebrate America 250.
Fort McHenry, I would think.
At Missoni's. No, you go to Missoni's. You watch it on television.
That was like a high fastball that I missed.
I was gonna say we got to get Jackie to get her plug in first.
Yeah, well,
before we go to Missoni's.
First off, I want to congratulate all of the young Republican candidates who won their primaries last night, and we'll be putting out a list of all of those names as soon as everything's finalized and we have final numbers to put out.
Will that be on the website?
We'll have it on our social media, and I can get up on our website too. But also, we don't engage in primaries and wires, so we're really excited to just help out all of our winners and really make some gains this year. I know that, like I said, it historically is supposed to be an off year for Republicans, but I think that we have a lot of opportunity to pick some stuff up with a lot of hard work in Maryland. So we're looking forward to getting to work. We always need donations to help out with that. We're also going to be helping out in critical seats all over the country that YRNF is putting on deployments for. And we have our big America 250 barbecue that's been moved to September 27th. It's also going to be our convention and day of service. This year we're doing partnerships with disability services programs across the state and highlighting how that funding was cut in the last legislative session and why that's such a horrible thing and why going into the new session, the Democrats need to reverse course and put that money back in.
Why is it that they don't budget money for the people that actually need it?
Exactly. Instead of the illegal immigrants.
Yeah. Why is that?
And they're actually illegal aliens, Jackie, not to correct you, but that is the proper designation by the Department of Justice. You've got legal aliens and illegal aliens. So if the Democrats don't like that, they should have changed that when they had the White House, frankly.
Yep. Well,
and I understand.
Yeah, go ahead.
I was saying, I understand over at Missoni's, you get some sort of discount if you mention a certain podcast, which you can catch on.
I love that we
mentioned Bob and Kendel. Bottom line with Bob and Kendel Ehrlich, I think you do. You get a good discount, and they always have seasonal deals. So I'm sure they're celebrating 4th of July in a big fashion.
Mm-hmm. And so the prices are great even without the discount.
It's excellent. You'll love the atmosphere. The people are great.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, that's going to do it for us tonight. And we will be back next week with another guest. Have a great night, everybody.
So great to be with you guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Kendel.
Yeah. Take care.
Bye now.
Let's go down to Missoni's, where Italian cuisine shines. Let's go down to Missoni's, we'll have a good old time. Homemade pasta at Missoni's, sauce is fresh